Not that I've been in the same club for 25 years and can't think of new things. So, visiting Rotarians and guests. Is that? I am very pleased to introduce the president of Humboldt State University, Tom Jackson Jr., who shall be our program this morning.
You may be familiar with my guest. I have brought Jill Wilson, our interim AD.
To check this out one more time is Taylor Lefebvre from Bear Track. And I have a guest. Heidi is going to tell us her last name.
Hi, my name is Heidi Rutzchow. I actually teach at HSU. I lecture in cell biology and genetics, and I'm here to check you guys out.
Awesome!
This morning, my guest is Jeff Sterling, the commander of the RCAS.
Every week. So this is TRN. She's from a Rotary Club in Marin County, right?
Yes,
And she's come several times for her moving up here, and so is considering joining us.
My name is Marina. I'm the president-elect of Lost Coast Rotaract, and I actually brought Scott Hunt, who is the branch manager of the Tri-Counties Bank here on the plaza, just moved here from Reading. I'm Amy. I'm the development director at Wild Souls Ranch.
A woman who needs no introduction.
So last weekend it was the event, so we all dressed up for like Halloween stuff. So we just hung out in the old town. It was really fun. There was like the albums from next year, and yeah, it was really fun. It was on Friday night, so on Saturday I went. It was Sunday. I think it was Sunday. I went with Nina. She's from Indonesia. She's just here. She's the exchange student from the Living Club. And so we went together to, I think it's Dry Lagoon, it's like in the north. And it was pretty cool. And then it was during the holidays, so then we went to Crescent City to get some food. And so we went on the road that saw like trees of history with like those two guys. Like,
Those two guys? I mean, come on.
Big blue cow.
yeah, that's fun. And then we went to the beach. So it was a really fun weekend. I also have my jazz concert next Friday. So we are performing with my jazz band from high school. And it's at the Fab, it's like the arts building in Aquila High. So it's from 6:30 to 7:15. It's like a lesson. So the jazz band is going to play, and you can have some lessons of like classic swings and stuff. And then we're going to perform from 7:30 to 8:30. And so the tickets are like $15, but it's for like the AA program, so you can like participate in the thing, and you can have some food, some drinks and stuff. So yeah, if you're interested in jazz and to help the AEA program, Makila has a good one. So you can ask me if you want the tickets and stuff.
Yeah.
Some fun recognition. So we have some birthdays to celebrate. In October, there are quite a few. So Vanessa, October 12th. In our roster, I think it listed as a second. Sorry, I threw me for a loop for a little.
That's my anniversary.
You care to share anything? What did you do on your birthday?
Actually, I went to Kauai the week before. I went to Kauai the week before my birthday, and hiked and kayaked and helicoptered, and I just worked for my birthday.
Thank you. Some fun pictures here. This was the day of the blackout.
We were brown.
That was interesting, actually.
Makeup Mondays. Getting a lesson on a whiskey sour. And Karen shares the birthday. What did you do for your birthday?
Well, I was treated to lunch by my really good friend Janice Newman. And then my very good friend Vanessa brought me a beautiful dahlia bouquet, which is my absolute favorite flower. And my daughter and I, that was last year, we went out to dinner at a place called Papa Hayden's in Portland. Really fun. And these are just pictures of things that I thought were just fascinating pictures. So, had a good birthday.
There are a few other folks that aren't as public on social media, so it was hard to find photos. But Joyce, Rebecca, and Claire, also happy birthday. So if you don't mind leading us in a round of a happy birthday.
With bacon in your mouth. Certainly. Let me just swallow this little bit of bacon. I'm going to do it in a different key for those of you who aren't. Whatever the hell my voice is. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Rotarian. Happy birthday to you.
So Spirits and Spirits was a lot of fun. Never seen, yes it was, like hidden like opera house or hidden like auditorium, the top of that building.
Where's that?
The Ingomar Theater. Building behind
Yeah, it's the Carson Block building. That's actually on the 3rd floor, which is the old proscenium arch where when they cut the theater, they cut it in half this way, so you're kind of up above where the people used to sit. It's beautiful. If you ever want a tour, let me know. I can get you there. And my office manager's husband, Peter Santino, did the restoration.
So there were areas.
Yeah, we should.
And then foundation dinner was fun. You can guess who the masked people are. It's hard to tell.
Do Gooderies. Why don't you do Gooderies there?
Here's some more. And then we can't even hold ball. Made away with 4 banners. This club is amazing and continue to do amazing work. I think this definitely deserves a round of applause for everybody. Special recognition to Mr. Heller there. And then another fun photo at the end. Quite a few agents of Do Goodery there. A little Clark Kent there. So a message from the district. Dustin,
Yeah, so we set up a real easy click to donate button on our district webpage for the Kincaid fires. So right now we're just raising money to put together to give to folks once the needs are assessed and whatnot, because it's still happening and people are still coming back and whatnot. So anyway, you can share that or go there, and it's it's our new 501c3 fund that we started for the district, so we don't go through anyone else now. It's just the district's fund for disaster relief. Ashley, you have anything else to say about that?
The only thing I can say is that if all donations are tax deductible, you can donate online or you can send a check to my office at Hunter & Hunt and make sure it says Disaster Relief Fund. Thank you.
Thanks, Ash. So anyway, that's there, it's easy to share, so let folks know, and make a donation to the Kincaid Fire folks, so.
Thank you, Dustin. And then last night I caught a ghoul.
There he is. I think it was a couple years ago, Stephanie Piper, who has the tuxedo shop downstairs, and she's also I think a rotor-actor. No, she's not.
She was.
She was, all right. So she organized, she got the tractor donated, Dustin donated his trailer, they got hay bales, and so we've done hay bale rides around the plaza for the kids on Halloween. And yeah, they seem to really like it, the families really enjoy it.
I love the way you coordinated your makeup.
I know, yeah. Yeah, my bolts were wine corks with silver duct tape. Yeah, I wish I could take credit for things like that, but I was on YouTube. So, but yeah, it worked out. It seemed like it was a really good Halloween on the plaza.
And the last day of Halloween.
That's 60-pound civic halibut.
Wow.
I've halibut fished a couple times this year and got nothing. Halibut fishing, you kind of feel like you can either beat yourself with a cat of nine tails, or you can sit there and wait forever for these guys to bite. But they call them barn doors for a good reason. It's like trying to reel a barn door up off the bottom. So you bring him up 30 feet and he takes 40 feet. And you bring him up 40 feet and he takes 50 feet. And eventually they poop out. We manhandled this guy up our side. So Cam and I both have halibut here. Last day of the season. Yesterday.
Okay, so this is tonight. We have the Rhode Island Halloween party with the this club and the Arcade News Club. Let's see, it's at 7 p.m. at Wallace and Hines in Blue Lake, and we have lots of snacks and cocktails. Cocktails and all alcohol will be $5 each, and the proceeds will be benefiting the Vision Project. If you don't know, that's like the Vision Center for the Homeless and At-Risk Youth, a place for them to take a shower and get some clean, do their laundry and use computers and stuff like that. So yeah, who's planning on going? Can I get a count? Okay.
Thanks, Sophie. And tomorrow, the Mad River Rotaries has their fundraising, major fundraising event benefiting the Trades Academy. It starts at 5:30 and typically goes to 8 or 9. It's
Sold out.
Sold out? Anybody from the club going? I got tickets already. Okay. Well, it's good to hear that they're sold out. Maggie?
Yeah, so if you can't go to that, this is sold out. This is not sold out yet. This is, we're having a Pints Night at Mad River Brewery on the 6th. And we're doing a great little silent auction there. We have a lot of nice donations. And this is to raise money for a program we're starting, which is called North Coast Home Share, trying to match people who have extra rooms in their homes with people who need housing. You all know we have a housing problem in California, and we're focused on trying to find those older folks who could benefit from having somebody in their home, and also from some older folks who can't afford to rent an apartment in our community anymore, or even find one if they could. So we're trying to find some matches, reminding people that intergenerational can also mean 50 and 70. It doesn't always mean college student and a non-college student. So we're looking at all levels and all ages and trying to get people some home and some support and some fun in their homes. So if you want to come help us raise money for that, please do. It's painless. Well, not for you, Greg. It might hurt after.
And is Carol out there?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. Visit Adopt a Highway on the 9th. And we have a sign-up genius that you should should have all gotten, but if you like the paper version, I'm gonna circulate this clipboard around. We're trying to get teams and try to see if we can populate all those teams and make it one of those 1 hour in and out. So you meet at the Nature Center at 10, get your safety talk, your equipment, hit the highway for about an hour, and then an optional celebration of our service at Rita's for a drink on the house.
lunch at Rita's too.
Ooh, did you hear that? All right, so not just a drink on the house, but lunch on. Thank you, Scott. All right, so I'm going to circulate this around. Please sign up, or you can sign up.
One more time, and then next week as well. We're doing a flag lowering ceremony on Veterans Day here in the plaza at 4. We would like to get all of you to come out and help us sing the Armed Forces melody. Words and lyrics are online, and you could, open your phone and we'll all sing together. We do have 2 trumpet players from the local high schools that will be playing taps while the veterans lower the flags. Okay, thanks.
Awesome. Thanks for coordinating that, Michael.
Takes the holidays. Wow, we're less than 3 weeks away. I've gotten a lot of applications and some new people are participating, food vendors. Local Fish, who participated in our Taste of Spring, is going to participate. Anyway, I just got some new ones, and beverage vendors also. We're going to have distilleries this year. The 3 big things that we need to focus on are our ticket sales. How many people have sold their tickets? And have you all handed your money in to Rachel? No.
Right.
So if you have money to hand in, you can give it to me and I'll make sure she gets it because I have to go pick up some more tickets from her. Does anybody need any more tickets? Ashley? Anybody else? Okay. So as soon as you can get those tickets sold would be the best, and bring the money in next week or the week after. We just don't like to do it at the very end. People buying tickets the day of the event, it just sort of gets confusing. And then the next thing is the raffle prizes. So AJ's and Dustin are taking over doing all the raffles. So everybody is supposed to be he sent out an email in reference to different groups, and every group has a theme. You don't have to stick to the theme, but we want to try to get those raffle gifts in as soon as possible. And we're really trying to gear up and getting really beefy things because we just want to do really well on that. And things we put out, we want everyone to be interested in putting a ticket in for. The last thing is Sign Up Genius. And everybody, this is a club event, so everyone should be participating. This is Howard Sign Up Genius, and a lot of people have signed up already. There's still some spots left at the very end of the day and end of the night. I know you guys are having a good time, and you probably just want to have a good time and not sign up, but we need your help, so if you could, it would be great. What else did I have? Does anybody need any flyers? Because I have a few flyers left. And everybody got flyers as an email, so you can print them out and give them out or post them up wherever you work. Let's see, anything else? AJ, do you have?
I've only heard from one group about raffle prizes. So.
Yeah, Team 4.
Yes, Team 4. Feel free to bring those prizes here, and we'll take them to Health Board. We'll drop them off at Health Board. We'll drop them off at Uncle Bank. And I'll be happy to get them over there so we can start collecting them and start creating those descriptions, because that is time consuming. We don't want to leave that to the last minute, so please, as soon as possible, start bringing those in so we can...
AJ, did you send out some sort of email that's got the group listings, or am I just not paying attention?
Yes.
Anybody else not paying attention? Who's on their group? That's me. So find that email from him, and whoever's on my team, give me a call. I think it's a good idea to dust that off, because we only got 20 days.
Yeah.
And it's really the raffle prizes or something that's special at the ad event. And again, put a little time and effort knowing who your partners are. Whoever they are, give me a call, please.
I'll get that email out again.
And in reference to Sign Up Genius, I really appreciate everyone that has signed up so far. It's just been great. And when you get there, just start with setup. I'll have instruction on what everyone should be doing. And I mean, it flows really nice. We like to try to be done by 1:30 so people can go home and change and just get started. Backpack for kids. I just wanted to plug this a little bit. Michael, thank you so much. He showed up and helped Romy and Michael and I picked up the food, and then Romy and Michael I met at Romy's. We packed up all the bags. They needed them early because today they have an in-service day, so they're not in school. So I picked up the food on Tuesday. We packed Wednesday. Or was it? No, picked up Monday and picked up Tuesday and packed, and then it was delivered Wednesday. But I just want to thank Romy for having your house available for us to do that, and Michael for delivering all 35 bags.
Lisa, we have a lot of guests today, so food for kids or backpacks for kids, that's one of the most wonderful projects we do on a weekly basis. We fill 43 bags with food that go home every Friday or Wednesday with a student that the school designates as coming back after the weekend, not being well fed over the weekend. So it's such an easy project to help with, and we're making a difference every single week in our community. So when we say sign up, it literally takes about 15 minutes, and we're changing lives. So get involved in that one. Also on the Taste of the Holidays, we'll send out. I think Howard sent it, the letter that you can just forward to everyone on your contacts list. Right, so it's already written. All you have to do is copy it, except Sunrise Rotarians. Any other Rotarian is fine. So forward that to everyone on your contact list except us, and sell those tickets. But I'll have Howard resend that just in case, because that's another email to dust off.
10/20.
It was sent on 10/20.
Through Facebook, you could share our page, share it with everybody on your Facebook friends list, and another way to get it out there. I was hoping to get Danny's sister to do another demonstration, but we'll save that for another time. But yes, pretty easy to use the social media to get the word out. Thank you, Lisa. So, Greg, would you like to introduce?
Running on time. Maybe even ahead of schedule. All right, AJ. Yeah, so I get a very long introduction. So let me talk about me first. No. Yeah, please. Yeah, the hook comes out. So I do have the pleasure and the honor of introducing President number what of Humboldt State University? 8. I could think of 6 as I was sitting there, the names of 6. I couldn't think of 8. So that's your trivia when you go home. And while I am not a graduate of Humboldt State University, I'm sorry, I do have a child who went to school there, and we also know, all of us, how important Humboldt State is. So it's my pleasure this morning to introduce Dr. Tom Jackson Jr., who is the 8th president of Humboldt State University, and he's going to talk about everything we wanted to know about Humboldt State and everything that's going to happen.
Good morning. Quick show of hands. Who here is an alum of HSU? Okay. Who is not an alum of HSU? Good number. Of those who are not alums, who have family members that graduated from the university. So we are definitely well represented as a group. I can't say that that would be true if we left Arcata per se, because we're certainly sitting in Arcata. Thank you, AJ, for the kind invitation, and Greg for the warm welcome. I should first tell you that, and it's full disclosure, about 20 years ago I lived in Kingsville, Texas. And it was Kingsville, Texas, that my wife, whose name is Mona Jackson, first joined Rotary. Now, she actually joined before that. She was an active member in another place called Abilene, Texas. And so she by default, brought that with her when she moved to Kingsville and remained very active. She is not active right now, nor is she here right now.
We can fix
She
that.
will join me at some point in time. I think that would be the case. You'll have to fight for her on your own. That is the absolute reason why I will not join Rotary, because she is a very active Rotarian, and that's how our household works. That's hers. Not mine. Okay. So I get to come here and be with you, but she can be here all the time.
We have some couples here, you know.
Yeah, we might need that couples therapy after all. I am going to spend a little time talking about, well, as Greg said, me, and then a little bit about what state universities represent, as well as some things about HSU and the things that we are facing as a whole. I'll go reasonably quick and not get into a great amount of depth on many of the items, but you'll see in words some of the things that we are dealing with as a university. In a nutshell, and I need to be able to read my own screen because I don't know enough about myself. I'm originally from Seattle, Washington. Anyone from that area? Folks will equate me with South Dakota because I moved here from the Black Hills of South Dakota. Beautiful, beautiful area, western South Dakota, high elevation, about 4,000 feet above sea level. And as I moved here, folks said, Tom, you just have a way of finding the most beautiful places to move to. And I could certainly say that about the 5 months that I've been here in Arcata. I think that it's the best 5 months in the history of Humboldt County. And I keep hearing about rain and other things, and from my point of view, this is very normal. So keep that in mind. If you tell me that something's coming, my point of view, it's always going to be a sunny day, because the last 5 months have been nothing but sunny days. I've been to 31 countries in all 50 states, and I share that with the Rotarians here because I know how important the international agenda is to everyone in here. And I take a lot of pride in knowing that I've been able to maneuver between the states, the different parts of the United States, and the different countries as someone who grew up very modestly in Seattle and had the good fortune to move about through other areas, not only because of the military, but really because of opportunity through my work. And so it's very rewarding. And I'll be happy to talk about each one of those places with all of you who've also traveled over the years. I have 2 children, 1 wife. Think that one through for just a moment. Both of my children are college age. I have a daughter who's a freshman at Black Hills State University. I think it's a really good school and a perfect school for her, and that's the university that I left as president. My son stopped out from that university, is working in Spearfish, and my wife has had 2 businesses, small businesses. She liquidated one. It was a Main Street boutique that sold trinkets and tourist items and alcohol and other things like that, fair trade items. But she still has a very, very successful steakhouse restaurant in Spearfish that does very well. And that is her heart and soul, which is why she's there and not here, because she comes back and forth, because that is very special to her for a lot of reasons.
Talk to Greg if you can get a direct flight.
Yeah, I'll work on it. My wife lives in New York City, so, you know.
Well, that Denver flight is really perfect because it's just get on the plane, land Denver to Rapid City. The hardest part about that flight is the 60 minutes to Spearfish West. But she will, and there are others who will say, you can have a steakhouse here, but remember, I'm just the husband. So that's something I can't say to her. That's something anyone in this room could say to her. And she'd actually register it and keep that in her head. If I say it, it's just noise. Okay, just remember that. Lastly, on this slide is 2 things, actually, I want to bring up. I am a veteran of the United States Coast Guard, Army National Guard, Texas State Guard, and Indiana Guard Reserve. And I'm still active in the Indiana Guard Reserve right now as a training officer. I'm also a member of our American Legion and our commanders in the back. And so for the veterans in the room who are not Legion members, Commander, you want to say a quick word on how you can do that?
I've got the two that are in here, they know how to get hold of me. Just waiting for them.
Lastly on that one is why HSU? HSU is a amazing place with special people, and everyone in this room knows that from your experiences as a student and someone in this community. We had the choice, like many do, to look at different universities. And I'd like to say that we had a really good experience at Black Hills State University, kind university in many ways. But this was our time to look at HSU and to try and make a difference for the university and for this community. And that's nothing different than any of us who transition into different roles for all the right reasons. But I will tell you this, it was never my goal or dream to become a university president. Some people say, well, you're a university president. No, we just don't wake up and say we're going to be university presidents. We, like many others, grind our way through the ranks of higher education. I started off running a bookstore, a box office manager as a college student, selling tickets in the old days to go to events on campus, and then worked my way on through different universities. But the window of opportunity came as a vice president and dean at one point in time, and the question was simple: am I willing to make that step to ascend to a CEO's position? And there are many who choose not to because we're enjoying the work that we're doing. As a VP or a professor, it's good, it's comfortable, it pays well many times, you have good benefits, and you know that you're making a difference. But for me, I knew that I had a different calling, and something inside me said I need to make that step, partly because I'm the first in my family to finish a degree. And so in my mind, I've been given a good fortune to not only earn a degree, but to actually earn a living in higher education. And honestly, I don't know enough about when to stop, if you think about that. So I know that I've been given a gift that I have to use to the best of my ability for all the right reasons. That's a little bit about Tom, because all those right reasons also mean trying to help Humboldt State become the absolute best it can be during my tenure as university president. Does that make sense? So. Now a little bit about state universities, and many of you know these things, but I'm going to share them in a subtly different kind of way. For those in the room, we're benefactors of this, but there are many people in the United States and throughout the world who use higher education as the golden opportunity for a life-changing experience. All of us have jobs that, in many respects, that required a degree, and many of us possibly didn't come from families that could write a check to Harvard or Brown or other places like that, or write a $50,000 check for a degree. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
So a state university gives the populace an opportunity to get a degree that is needed for the workforce. And by doing that, we create this economy that actually strengthens the communities in which we serve. Now, a more international way of looking at this is we are the top 7%. A few years ago, it was the top 1%, but we are now the top 7%. Those on this planet that have a college degree, 7 out of 100 people have a college degree. And most of everyone in the room raised their hands with some college degree. That says a lot about how we are progressing as a society and the things and expectations we have as individuals within our respective communities. And so that stat, that number right up here, represents that public good that colleges and universities throughout the United States provide. We also are there because the public has an invested interest. Your tax dollars and others help support this engine in a way. And it helps in significant ways because the things that you do as an organization drive the economy in this community as well. But it also provides others the opportunity to succeed in this community. Lastly, I have to make the case that we can't do it alone. There's only a fixed number of dollars that support this enterprise. And a big chunk of that for our students comes from the kindness of individuals like yourself who now have earned a degree but have the ability to help others earn their degree. Myself included, it came down to a difference of $500 to $1,000 a number of years ago on whether I could pursue my college education. Think about that for just a moment. Think about the times that you needed a little bit of cash to pay the bills, and you found it somehow, and here you are, a college graduate. Well, we still have those students today. Their success is determined by whether they can pay a $500 bill, which means they either step out of college or they keep progressing through college. You see how tenuous this can be, even for our students today, as wealthy of a nation as we are. That's still the dynamic that we're dealing with every single day. So I share that because your kindness helps those who need that little push, and then it reverts back to us. I give so that others someday in the future can also give. What we're dealing with as a university can be depicted in this. This may not make a lot of sense. Now, if you look at one on the right, you see happy, less grease peanuts, chicken adobo flavor. And then on the other side, you see a Chinese New Year from Western Oregon University. And so Humboldt State University, despite all the things you read about in the news or other things like that, is in a competitive market, a very competitive market. We think of ourselves, and you'll see this in another slide shortly, we hear the news reports about the California State University system or the University of California system, all these other metropolitan areas and how fast they may be growing, right? But we're Humboldt County, we're not Los Angeles, and we know that. But we read the reports thinking sometimes that we are. And this is a great depiction of that challenge, and I'll explain it here very quickly. The happy, less grease is actually a real picture of a peanut bag from the Philippines, a place that I've traveled a number of times. And you can see how they're marketing toward that community. It's simple peanuts, but it's no different than what we're doing. Well, aside from the grammatical error, but we're talking about a second language marketed toward a first language. So the grease is the wrong verb, but the chicken adobo flavor is the most popular dish in the Philippines. So they're marketing their peanuts with the flavor of the most popular dish in the country. It's no different than peanut flavor, barbecue flavored peanuts that we have in the United States. Because how many times have you seen that? Or some other flavor of peanuts that we just love to have and we buy that. So our marketing as a university in its simplest form has to evolve to fit what and who we're trying to market to. And that is the North Coast region and all things Northern California, all the way up into Alaska. 30% of our student body comes from Los Angeles, about 15% comes from San Diego. We are probably within 3 years from becoming a minority-majority institution, not because we are recruiting students of all colors, ethnicities, and races, but because California is changing very rapidly. 85% of our students come from someplace other than Humboldt County. Yes, that is a fact. 85% of our student body comes from someplace other than Humboldt County. And that is not by choice per se, that's just who Humboldt County, who HSU is today. That's how we've evolved, which also means that those students that come to this university, we have to do something with them in a very deliberate way. Simply put, they're part of this community immediately upon their arrival because they can't drive home 3 hours every weekend or 16 hours to do laundry, get a meal, hang out with family, brothers, sisters, and things like that. So the role that we play as a community is extremely important to the success of HSU. Our livelihood, collectively, both us, the community, and the communities around us, all depend upon one another for that experience. We also have to market in different ways to the international agenda beyond the region, which is what Western Oregon is doing. They're basically promoting themselves as an international organization, university, which they are slowly becoming simply by recruiting students or sending their students to other locations. We are very non-existent in that space as a university. I can't tell you why we've gotten to this point, but I know that as the president, it's important to me that we actually move into that space. Not because it's a marketing opportunity, but I think it's the right thing for us to do. Our student body has to be competitive on the international scale. It's not just that they need to be good in computer technology skills, they have to be competitive in the global marketplace because that's the environment they live in right now. They regularly are playing games with people from throughout the world, yet we're not teaching them some of those competencies to actually thrive in that world. And if you think about your own businesses and where products come from, it's all integrated right now. Yet we as a university really don't exist in that space. And so you can see that that's one of our challenges, but one of the things we'll do very rapidly. I hope that we'll become a college of innovation, and that's part of the agenda for not only myself, as we look more upward and outward. Let me switch to some other things real quickly, though, so I can wrap up and get you out the door and respond to some other questions. These are the things that I'm saying, and these represent the topics of conversation on where we're going as a university over the next several years. There's things hiding in each one of these words, but I think you can read between the lines. We're trying hard to create the most positive, meaningful educational experience for our students, and that is inclusive of their experience in the community and on campus. So simply as I can state it, our fundamental purpose is to create this positive, meaningful educational experience for our students at all costs, so that we can get the students here and complete the trust that those families have invested in us as a university. So for those parents in the room of college-age children or college graduates, when you sent your son or daughter off to college, it was an implied trust. That trust was, you will return my son or daughter better than what I left. And sometimes you left us some interesting things. Hoping we would do some magic. And it took every piece of magic to make them a graduate. And that I speak from experience, because I left my son at a university thinking we couldn't do what we could do. Hopefully you can do better. So I'm there with you. But that's important to us, to create this really meaningful experience despite that. But we also recognize there's a trust. And that trust is that we have to be better at what it is that we're doing and to help that son or daughter progress through this maze. In my opinion, if a student is good enough to get in to our university, we have to be great at helping them progress through it and get through the university. It's not our job to weed them out. It's our job to help them maneuver through this maze of stuff as a university today and become part of the educated citizenry that all of us enjoy right now. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We also are focused on our community relations. That's just not me talking to this group. It's all of us as a university trying deliberately to become very active in our different communities up and down the coast. And I think you're seeing the product, the outcome of some of that effort, from the university, particularly over the last 5 months. We also have to evolve our campus culture in subtle ways, and I'll touch on that as a closer in just a second. Get our spending in alignment with our budget. That you hear a lot about that, and a good piece of it has to do with the reduction of students that we've had over the last few years. That has as much to do with fewer students graduating out of high schools in this area than it does anything else. We project all kinds of things, but the data doesn't lie, and we know exactly who's going to be around 18 years from now because those births have already happened. It's basic math. We know who's coming through the pipeline, and we can ride those waves as a university. And the last few have been somewhat downward because there just are not that many 18, 19-year-olds in our region. And it shows in our demographic as a university. But that doesn't mean we didn't market to get more in, and that was our challenge to do that. And so we are trying to get our spending in alignment with what we are receiving. We are strengthening what we're doing with our faculty development, outreach, scholarship, and teaching. And then lastly, back to what I mentioned before, our global agenda. Let me close with the campus culture and parts. You'll see up here that we often talk about diversity, and I view diversity a little different than some. I think the biggest challenge we have when we're talking about diversity is not what we look like, but what we say. Because the conversation starts with some of the things that we actually say to one another. And one of the biggest things I heard was when we lost football, folks would say we lost the diversity of the university. Well, that's tough for me to hear because I think it's crap, frankly. I think there's more to diversity than football. And so, forgive my frankness in that one, I think it has more to do with how we engage one another, the civility of each other. And those are some of the tenets of this organization. The international agenda, the service element of Rotary it lives and breathes that tenet right there. And so does our university, Humboldt State. And so it's a lot more than that. And over the next few years, we're going to dive into those details and actually help ourselves evolve our culture so we are most inclusive of all things like a university, particularly our own thoughts and our ability to engage in that academic agenda like we used to 20 years ago. We'll also strengthen our access for our university. Our campus is changing, like I said, and we're pulling people from throughout the region, but we're also going to pull people from throughout the state. California does just fine, and we're a California State University. But we also are next to Oregon. We pull in so many people from Alaska, and we can pull in others from throughout the United States because the strength of our university is in the sciences, the arts, and education and business and all the other areas. And those are all popular degree programs, not just for us here, but throughout the region and the nation. Let me close with some quick ideas or thoughts. It was a number of years ago that this community gave land to help create this university. And you can read the little blurb up behind me. And that, in essence, set in motion what this university will always be, a community-focused type organization, because it was the community that originally invested in the university saying, we want this university to be here. And this university was the center point for creating an educational mission throughout this region. We were here to initially train teachers to do things in our community and to help that educational engine. That has never changed, and it hasn't changed today. That is still why we live and breathe as a university, to serve the community, the public good, and to produce this product throughout this region that creates more educated citizens that drive this economy in this community. So let me stop at that point. Thank you for your time, and respond to any questions you might have very quickly, since I used up a little more time than I ordinarily would. Thank you.
Can you review that scholarship program that's come out now for local students or whatever?
You're referring to Humboldt First. And if you've heard, we've created a scholarship program targeted at students from the local counties to attend Humboldt State University. It basically is a $4,000 total scholarship for individuals automatically who graduate from one of the high schools in the regional county area, including Humboldt County, and Del Norte, Mendocino, and one other I don't recall. And so if you have a son or daughter or a nephew, niece, grandson, granddaughter who's graduated from any of those places, they automatically are eligible for that. Now it goes a little further. Out of the kindness of Dan Phillips, an alum for Tuna High, and a very good member of Hulu, he's provided a good amount of money to spearhead a Fortuna High School scholarship. So graduates from Fortuna also get an additional $4,000 to come to Humboldt State University or the College of the Redwoods, which he also has a deep connection to. So those Fortuna High graduates can automatically be eligible for $8,000 toward their college degree. what we are asking our community to do is to invest in the local high schools like Dan Phillips has for Fortuna, so we can do the exact same thing for Eureka, Arcata, McKinleyville, and others, and really strengthen those students from those communities to come through CR or come directly to Humboldt State University. We get less than 30 students from Eureka every year. Yeah, there are more people in this room than graduates from Eureka that come to Humboldt State. So we have our work cut out. And it's not that those students are leaving. It's not like they're flocking off to Cal State LA or something. Those individuals are going into the workforce or choosing not to go into higher education or going to CR and then transitioning out before finishing their 4-year or their 2-year degree. So we need everyone's help to keep this momentum going, and this is a small piece of that to help. Thanks for asking.
What happened to KHSU and what are the plans moving forward?
Anyone here listen to KHSU now? So it's still on, KHSU is the local radio station, and it's still on the air. It never has gone off the air, in fact. We use Capital Radio as the infrastructure to keep it going. Capital Radio being Sacramento, and they're the big organization within Northern California, and they have supported us and Chico State University in a nice way to keep the infrastructure going. When I hear KHSU, in a way I'm referring to it as there's the infrastructure and the maintenance, the operational side of the radio station, and then there's the content side of that radio station. And many of us in the news are familiar with the content side of the radio station. What we've done, me particularly, I asked the faculty within our university if there's a place that they would like to use the radio station to connect it back to the student body. Now think about what I just said there, because I've heard feedback from some who would say, why would you want to use the students? Yeah. And I actually have no answer for that. But when we have this conversation about KHSU, sometimes that's what I get back. But the very people who volunteered for KHSU sometimes first started doing it as students. And that student space is still very important to me as the university president. And so we've asked our faculty if there's a place that we can develop content using our students. And we are working through some of those details right now. And so I'm pretty sure we won't go to a pure volunteer model, but our goal is to try and reconnect it to our faculty and the academy in a very deliberate way so that it can sustain itself for the long run.
But it's also in the past been a bridge to the community. Students who have shows as students and then become community members, it's been a bridge between the two. And I think that's one of the things that people are missing. The fact that you've asked and we've wanted to have ways to connect the community to the university, and that was one.
That part won't come back, but I'm just saying that as frank as I can be right now. So. Other questions?
As you spoke, I was looking out the window, not because I was bored. But I don't see any Humboldt State branding anywhere here. Where I came from was Davis, and you knew that entire town was about UC Davis and vice versa. So, I mean, you know, and I'll throw this over to our mayor as well. You know, is there discussions about how to try to create that presence on the other side of LK Wood? For example, and I want to thank you, the Small Business Development Center Lead Center Network, which runs all the small business development centers in Northern California, based in Humboldt State, is moving to Eureka, which is awesome, on 3rd Street where the old gallery would be. I'm hopeful that we'll see some Humboldt State branding there, some Humboldt State branding at the Aquatic Center, and some other things. I mean, is there a discussion about that with the cities and community groups about getting that kind of branding out to show that it is Humboldt State University, not Arcata's Hillside University or you know, something like that?
Does everyone here know that we have a aquatic center in Eureka?
Yes.
And it's gorgeous. And sometimes that's, I would easily say, is one of our underutilized facilities. And we've done not the greatest job of branding it as a university. We also are deeply connected to the Arkley Center in different ways through the Center Arts, as many of you already know. That is part of what we are trying to do. And for every step forward, we take 2 steps back with a power outage. Because we get this momentum. I'm using the power outage as a very tangible example, but these little things crop up that cause us to pause as a university and focus on other more important things, and then we have to build that momentum back up. And so the short answer to your question is we have very deliberate plans to try and brand not only Eureka, but also Arcata and McKinleyville. And we'll probably be in a very different place this time next year. We're only 5 months in. Thank you, everyone. I know you have places to go. I appreciate you.
Thank you very much for coming here today and presenting on your behalf and your donation to the North Carolina. Thank you very much.
Would you like to pick 2?
Oh, yeah.
I lose my ticket. All right, last 3. 3, 8, 9. Was it you, Bob?
Guess I don't have to give Nick tickets this week.
And 390. 432. 432.